I'd introduce you to Ronan Horgan. He's the CEO of Capitalflow. It was founded by Ronan in 2015 with a private equity backing from Pollen Street Capital. They're Ireland's largest non-bank specialist business lender. And actually, if the name sounds familiar, you probably heard it recently because they were the headline sponsor of CQMS that took place in Tullamore just last month. Capitalflow's mission is to turn Irish business lending on its head by putting people first and making finance simple to help you grow your business. Ronan joins me now. Very good evening, Ronan.
Good evening, Ronan, and thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners as well.
Ronan, an absolute pleasure. You're marking pretty much a decade in business, and it has been steady growth, particularly in the last couple of years. Give us a sense of the background of Capitalflow and maybe how it's scaled over the past while.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's nearly 10 years, and a very enjoyable 10 years at that. When we established ourselves as a specialist lender, really focusing in on business owners and SMEs right throughout the country. And when I talk about specialists, I mean that we provide finance to businesses for their assets. So all different types of assets. So you can imagine a haulage company, it might be trucks, or it might be vans or forklifts. Hoteliers, it could be the hotel, it could be equipment in the hotel, fleet of vehicles. So everything that we do is asset backed, and that's the specialism, I suppose, compared to maybe the traditional banks who would probably try to offer all different types of products for a business.
When it comes in, are there particular industries or sectors then that you like to hone in on?
Well, it really has to be asset backed. So, I mean, with the SME might have an industrial unit, they might have a logistics business, they may need racking, they may need forklifts, they may need finance for the industrial unit itself. So that's just one example, I suppose. So we're sector really agnostic. We will finance farms, farm machinery. We don't finance the farmland, but we will do the plant machinery. And as I say, we do a lot of property investment. We do some pubs. We do rental properties right throughout the country as well. And when we set Capitalflow up, it was very much to hone in on that business to business relationship, because we felt that after the financial crisis that the banks have kind of moved away from that personal touch. And that's very much how we've honed it over the last 10 years. And then the people that we have working in the company have years of experience and expertise in their chosen fields. So that's really important, because if you're talking to a construction or plant hire operator, they want to know that the person who's going to be providing that finance knows what you're talking about, understands your business, and actually can respond to the request in a reasonable fashion without too much red tape.
I worked in the quarry industry many years ago, and it was often said, now I think it was only kind of a bit of a myth, that the boss man used to like to see guys with maybe oil on their hands, or hands that had worked on heavy machinery. So I absolutely take your point that I think people want to know that the person at least has an interest and has some element, has the business at heart too, because I've had guests on the show quite a lot recently talking about things like venture capital and stuff, and a lot of the message is that traditional lending models are changing substantially, and Capitalflow are showing that with the growth in the business. You've doubled or 50% growth in workforce as well. That's suggesting then that those SMEs are beginning to look beyond the banks at organisations like your own.
Yeah, I think so. I think if you go back to the days where your local branch manager would have been very active in the local GA club or the rugby club or soccer club or whatever, cricket club if it was around. But they'd be very active in the community. They'd know that locality very, very well. And when you went to them and spoke to them about maybe an investment that you wanted to make, they could probably know pretty quickly that they could do something about that. Now that's kind of gone, and everything goes to head office, and everything goes through a system and a the yes or no answer may take some time. And what we're trying to do, and we've over 95 people now working in the company, and we're covering the 26 counties. What we're trying to do is give that using technology. Absolutely, like we're not foolish in that regard, but having the ability to be able to say to somebody, look, you're buying that new tractor, you want to invest in a fleet of trucks, we'll probably know pretty quickly whether that's a doable deal or not. And if it's not doable and it's not for us, we will let you know very quickly, or we'll actually point you to maybe a provider that would be more suitable towards you. So what we're trying to do is help, because business people these days, like everybody else, we don't have a lot of time, and you don't want to waste too much effort on it. But you do want that expertise. You want that kind of confidence, I suppose, and certainty that the finance can be provided.
Are SME owners, are they actually aware of the value of their assets that they hold then, as opposed to them just being a number on a balance sheet, or that the CFO or accountant reports back to them? Are they becoming more aware that there's value to be gained by those assets in terms of getting down, money from a specialist lender?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, I don't think I've ever I've ever met any business owner or family business where they don't have pride in the assets. They know the value of those assets, and even though they're written down, they know that they could maybe potentially refinance some of those assets again and raise some more funding. But it's like everything. It's not just in plant and machinery. It's in your publican who's got his pub. He knows exactly the value of that pub. He knows, absolutely the trade, what he needs to do to improve it, what margins he needs to be charging, stuff like that. So the SMEs are very astute in how they value their assets. Yeah.
You currently have an active loan portfolio that exceeds €1 billion, over 2 billion in loans advanced since 2016 alone. Those 100 employees set to become 150 by 2028. You're clearly setting up for that. What sort of targets have you in terms of the business and the value of that loan book over the next couple of years?
I think, look, we as I say, it's 10 years, so we took our time. We didn't rush into this. We developed our brand. We developed the right type of people, the right type of customers. As you say, we've advanced over 2 billion now, which is a fair amount of money for a non-bank lender. We were acquired by Bunk, B-U-N-Q, which is a Dutch bank, digital bank, and they could see the merits in coming together with ourselves, merging with ourselves, using their cheaper liquidity, their deposits, to effectively allow us then to provide financing to Irish SMEs. They're also out there raising deposits and through savings accounts in Ireland, as well as all the way across Europe. So it made a huge amount of sense, because they're not in the lending business, and we are. We know exactly what we're doing. As I say, we're specialist lenders. So when you combine those two together, that gives us greater access to funding, greater certainty. You would have probably seen with the rise of interest rates now over the last few years, things have become more expensive. So from a business point of view, you want to manage your margins very well. So the last thing you want to be doing is paying more on your finance costs as well. So that's where we come into play.
Well, you're almost 10 years in business. You said you had you took your time at the start, but if we can nearly slice off 5 years because of what happened in 2020, never mind what's happening in 2025, you remain optimistic though, and you expect the markets and business to remain steady despite all the uncertainty that's out there at present.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, as you say, 2020, you had Brexit, you obviously had COVID. We were a young enough business, and we withstood that, and we knuckled down. Then we had, inflation. We had Ukraine and Russia. Now we have the T factor, which is the tariff factor coming into play, which creates more uncertainty. And I think a business owner, that's the worst place to be, uncertain of where you're going in the future. Having said that, most businesses are very, very resilient, and when they focus in on it, to a certain extent, there's a lot of talk, and it can be a distraction. And here we are today. Ireland is still doing well. Businesses are still doing well, and employment is at an incredible low level. The tariffs haven't kicked in as of yet. So the impact of those, we are seeing some slowdown, I think, in people, making sure that the investments that they're making, whether it's in plant or in property, they're making prudent investments. Having said that, I think like everything else, life goes on, and we just need to we need to just move on with the times, rather than looking over our shoulder too much.
Well, absolutely sounds like you and all the team at Capitalflow are setting yourselves up to help many more SMEs and existing customers through all that. Ronan Horgan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming out with me this evening.
Thank you, Ronan.